Good morning, traders, and welcome to NewsWare's Trade Talk for Wednesday, December 3rd. Let's get into the action. Take a look at the S&Ps. We're showing modest gains this morning. We're up about 0.3%, 0.29% this morning. So, it is kind of, positive. I mean, realistically, we had a lot of earnings last night, and it kind of showed that the data center spending, it's continuing its upward trajectory. So, that's just positive. Today, during the day, we get two key economic data points being released. You get the ADP employment data as well as the ISM services index. I don't think either one of these is really going to prevent the Fed from issuing a rate cut next week. I mean, that rate cut is pretty much assured, so we're going to keep that in mind when this data comes out. What else do we see happening this morning? Walmart is out there talking about seeing the peak impact of tariff costs landing in Q1. Now, this is provided that the Supreme Court doesn't strike down the use of the IEEPA tariffs that President Trump did, which that decision could happen later this month. So let's keep an eye out for that. Nike announced a host of management changes this morning. We're talking about the peace talks between the U.S. and Russia over Ukraine. Listen, they concluded yesterday. Did not have a breakthrough. There is expected to be an announcement from President Trump this afternoon around 2:30. No details. I couldn't find any details of what they're going to be talking about, but an announcement could cause some volatility. On the earnings front this morning, we're seeing Marvell, MRVL, Macy's, ticker M, Dollar Tree, DLTR, and THO. They're all trading higher after their releases. And after the bell today, we got earnings coming out from Salesforce, CRM, Snowflake, SNOW, Five Below, FIVE, and Guidewire, GWRE. Okay, let's take a look and see what's happening over in Europe this morning. And we're starting off with the DAX. The nice thing is the DAX is trading higher this morning. We're seeing some gains in tech and industrial stocks. It's up, about 0.3%, 0.28%. The FTSE is weakening due to, some weakness in the financial sector. It's down 0.07%. The CAC is going back and forth between gains and losses. It's currently higher by 0.11%. Tech, industrial stocks are positive, while luxury stocks are kind of weighing on that index. Turning last night to Asia, and we're going to start off with Japan because the Nikkei had a good day, good solid day, up 561 points or 1.14%. With strong gains in tech stocks, and they're continuing to benefit from the earnings momentum in tech. Hong Kong markets fell. It fell 334 points. That's 1.28%. Financials, tech, consumer stocks all pulled back. You got to remember they were expecting stimulus action, and now those expectations are starting to fade a little bit, so that's why that market kind of pulled back. In Shanghai and China, that market fell 0.51%. With weakness in property stocks, and this is renewed weakness in the property sector. I got to be a little cautious there. Tech stock also underperformed in China. Then we're turning our attention over to oil, and listen, oil is trading higher, up more than 1% this morning. You got WTI at $59.38 a barrel. You got Brent at $63.13 a barrel. Okay, there's two things happening. The Russian-Ukraine peace talks ended without a compromise of any sort. That's causing upward pressure on oil stocks. However, the API stockpiles, they rose by 2.48 million barrels. Now remember, these are estimates, but a rise in stockpiles is typically bearish for oil prices, but the Ukraine peace talks are more significant. Later today, you get the EIA data. That's going to be the official stockpiles data, so we got to keep an eye out for that after the market opens. Okay, let's move on into earnings, and let's talk about Dollar Tree, ticker DLTR. They beat by 13 cents, and they did it on higher revenue. That stock's up 0.58% this morning. We're talking CRWD, CrowdStrike. They beat by 2 cents. And they did it on higher revenue. Stock's down 1.27% this morning. Marvell, MRVL, they beat by 2 cents. They did it on higher revenue. That stock's up 9.85% this morning. And then upcoming, we got a couple of good upcoming reports. We got Snowflake, SNOW. Their EPS is for a loss of 58 cents a share, but the expected move is 10.23%. And then you have Salesforce, CRM, Charlie Richard Mary. Their EPS is $2.15 with an expected move of 7.93% when they release this afternoon. Okay, let's move on into economic reports. You get the ADP employment report coming out today. what's it going to show? I mean, the expectations are for, the payroll gains of about 40,000 jobs. But that's coming out. The ADP employment report is coming out at 8:15 a.m. this morning. Now, there's not going to be a non-farms payroll report this Friday. It's going to be scheduled till after the Fed announcement. Then at 10 a.m. you get the ISM Services Index, and at 10:30 we have the EIA oil inventory data being released. Okay. What else do we have going on? Let's take a look at the market and see what the stocks are moving this morning. Wow, I'm looking at my Dow stocks. I got 2 lower, I got 2 unchanged, which means 26 higher. Ooh, that's a nice day. That's a nice opening. You're looking at the FANG stocks. A little weakness in Netflix. Okay, everything else is trading. About 0.5% higher. That's good. Looking for news behind it, like Amazon. Listen. The stock's up, about 0.3% this morning, but they had some positive comments coming out from their AWS Cloud conference where their CEO spoke yesterday, and they're getting a lot of price target upgrades on their stock. Netflix is trading lower. It's 1.75% lower, but the issue with Netflix is not so much, about the business. It's about the buyout of WBD, and now they're out there talking about, hey, they're going to be able to lower costs through bundling, like they could bundle HBO Max into, a Netflix subscription. And this is being done in an attempt to, get ahead of any regulatory approval that might come their way if they are given, the green light to take over WBD, Warner Brothers. I don't know if they're going to get that approval, but we'll have to wait and see. I mean, that would be a tough one to get regulatory approval on. And then we're talking Tesla, ticker TSLA. Their Chinese sales actually were positive yesterday. I mean, stock is up 0.3%, so I guess that's good. Looking over at Dow Jones 30 stocks, Walmart's out there expecting the peak impact of tariff costs to top out in the Q1. Now, this is all dependent on the Supreme Court decision, which may or may not come this month. I think it will, though. Nike and NKE, they're out there talking about management reshuffling as their turnaround continues. Stock's trading slightly higher, Nike, this morning. We're talking merger news, Marvell, MRVL. They're going to be acquiring Celestial AI in a $3.25 billion deal. That deal is going to take a while for it to pay off. I mean, I'm a little cautious on that deal. In terms of guidance, CrowdStrike, CRWD, they announced Q4. They're seeing Q4 adjusted EPS coming in $1.09 to $1.11. Street estimate was $1.08, so not awful. Dollar Tree, DLTR, they see Q4 adjusted EPS coming in $2.40 to $2.60. Street estimate is $2.41. That's a definite uptick. And Macy's, they raised their full year 2025 adjusted EPS view to $2 to $2.20. I mean, it was $1.70 to $2.05. So the street is at $2. So that's where their low is. So yeah, Macy's, looking good on that guidance. CVS, they're having an Investors Day on December 9th, I saw this morning. Now, what's important here is this is their first Investors Day in 2 years, and with all the stuff going on in the healthcare industry, this could be an important Investors Day, one that we want to pay attention to. All right, let's move on. Let's talk about our pick of the day. I'm going with Five Below, ticker FIVE, Frank India Victor Edward. Earnings are out after the bell. EPS is 22 cents. Expected move is 12.02%. You look at yesterday's call volume, 4,633 calls versus 2,024 puts. That's more than 2 to 1. And then you get the open interest, 17,000 versus 10,000. That's positive. I like to see that. And major brokers, they're raising their ratings, not just their price targets, but their ratings on the stock, and that's what you really like to see. And I'm looking at Five Below this morning, and it is trading. It is trading in that $159 range, which is good to see. But the bid offers, 158 to 159.83. So I'll say, 158.75 to 159.20, somewhere in there as an entry point. I'd like to get in under 159. I do think we can hit below 159, and that would be a nice benefit because I think that they could actually see a little rally, and we could make our 1% during the trading day today. So 5 below FIVE. That's our pick of the day. Okay, let's move on and let's talk about the news that's hitting the tape this morning. What do we see? Trump administration is considering an order on robotics next year. BMY, Bristol Myers, trading higher. They announced the continuation of their phase 3 study. Okay. Yeah, there it is again. After AI push, Trump administration is now looking to robots. Trump's out there saying he has a good relationship with Musk. Don't hear Musk saying that. Trump is closing in on his Fed chair pick. There was supposed to be a bunch of interviews this week with Vice President J.D. Vance and others, and all those interviews have been canceled. So, yeah, that's really tells you he's made up his mind. It'll likely be Kevin Hassett, the question is he going to be loyal to Trump in terms of where interest rates go, or is he going to do what the economic data points him to? So you worry about Fed independence with a Trump pick leading the Fed. ASNA, it's up 3% after Q3 earnings. It beat and raised. Costco, ticker COST. Remember, today's Wednesday, and they could be announcing their November sales data today after the bell. Keep an eye out for that COST. Federal Reserve appears to be finally turned the corner on their 3-year-long string of unprecedented loss, is marking tide to how it implemented monetary policy in the wake of COVID-19 pandemic. Tesla's German car sales fall by a fifth in November. Anthropic, they're planning an IPO next year. They're out there, looking to hire a law firm. Looks like it has hired one, and now it's start preparing for an IPO, and could happen in first half of 2026. Ryvan is doing a recall on some vehicles due to damage to seatbelt pretension cable. All right, that's all I'm seeing. Okay, let's talk about yesterday's pick of the day, which was Box, ticker BOX, boy, Oscar X-ray. Listen, stock opened up at $29.48. Remember, we're going for 1%. But it ran and it had a high of $30.91. And, that's way more than 1%. Now, before, it did close at $30.17. It's trading a little lower this morning, but it definitely beat the 1% goal. So you got to be happy with Box, ticker BOX, and call it a winner. So, BOX, win. Happy to see those gains yesterday. That momentum in anticipation of the earnings was exactly what we were looking for. That's exactly what happened. It was a good day. All right, that's all I got for you today, guys. You guys know what to do. Let's go out there and let's make some green.